Thank you, everybody, for checking out HandyCon Extended here. So we got Clay Collins. It's really great. I mean, I've been following you for a long time in the internet marketing space and nomics and your projects. You're always making amazing things, and it's been great to see you really big, supporting the handshake things, and you're doing great things with .c. I've been seeing some of your screen shares in Twitter. So I just think it would be amazing to have you share some of your experiences and insights about Handshake and the C registry and everything. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing again, Clay.
Yeah. I'm so stoked to be here. Yeah. So I kind of got into domain investing. I was a domain investor first. Um and and I remember one of the projects I was involved in, we purchased a domain name for $1 million.
Wow.
And that's kind of what opened my eyes to the value that existed here, because the person that bought the domain name that we eventually purchased for $1 million, they originally bought it for $10. So it seemed like a pretty incredible return on investment.
For sure.
So and then through the years, I think anyone who's ever started a project has had the experience of going to look for a domain name, seeing that it's not available, and then just kind of going through a series of options, ranging from very expensive and very desirable, like the exactmatch.com version, all the way down to a really inexpensive name with like maybe a dash or something in it, like my dash company dash now.com or
I hear you.
something horrific like that. So I've kind of been through that gamut, and bought and sold domain names along the way, and it's been a really great ride. But how do you want to get into this? Should we do backstory first, or
I think
what do you
I
think is the
think
best way to proceed to this content?
yeah, I think we can just roll
Okay.
into, I think maybe some questions I have for you, if that would help make.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that.
Obviously, you were in this it seems like from the beginning, right? I mean, I mean, you got into the .c auction. So maybe when did you get into Handshake, or how did you hear about Handshake?
Yeah. So I'd heard rumblings about Handshake on Twitter starting maybe 2 years ago. And I interviewed Eric Meltzer on my podcast called the Flippening Podcast. I think he's the most interviewed person on the podcast. I interviewed him about 3 times. He's a really smart guy. He doesn't spend much time, making public appearances, but he either led the round or was a significant participant in the fundraise that Namebase did. And he started talking about Handshake and everything that it was and it could be. And I think what sort of flagged my interest was that a lot of notable developers who I really respected were involved in the project, and a lot of engineers who I trust were particularly excited about this project. Like they read it and they just got it, and so it got me looking into it. And the very first thing that I noticed about what was happening was that there was an opportunity to own a top level domain, and that just sold me on the whole thing. Like with ENS, the Ethereum naming project, which is a project I respect quite a bit. Everything's dot ETH, or they've got another one as well, with Unstoppable Domains, which is a fork of ENS. They have like .crypto and .zil.
Yeah.
So the number of top level domains has always been limited, but the ability for anyone to own a top level domain just blew my mind, because again, spent $1 million for a domain name in the past, have spent cumulatively way more money than I'd like to admit to on domains. And when you dig into the paperwork and the way the whole system works, you realize that when you own a .com, you don't really actually own it. You own the ability to rent it from
Exactly.
whoever owns .com. So it's kind of like if you own an expensive .com, it's like you own a horse in the race, and I wanted the ability to own the whole racetrack. And that's what the top level domain ownership potential was for me. So the first domain that I remember purchasing and getting really excited about was .zen. And it was one of the domains that I had flagged that I wanted to be involved in, because there's there's like Zenefits, there's Zendesk, there's just so many companies that when you really look at it have Zen in their name. And it seemed like, as opposed to a lot of the purchases that were happening on HNS, like .zen was a viable 3-letter top level domain. It was what this was intended to be. So from the very beginning, I was less interested in owning Clay / like my name, which I do own, and I'm happy to own it. And I was less interested in sort of thinking about as this is as another kind of like second level domain. And I was like, well, what are the top level domains here? So I bought .zen. I think I can look up how much
Yeah,
I think
everything's
anyone
on
could look up how much I paid for
everything's
this.
on the blockchain. Yeah. Well, we're addicted here. We're all
So
name-based checking here. Is
I know it's yeah, I bought it for 80,000 HNS, which was less money. I guess I can share my screen.
Sure. Yeah.
It's less money then. Can you see
Yeah, I
.zen?
see it. I see it. It's
Or
great.
yeah. Yeah, so it's 80, and I bid 100,000. I remember doing that from a bar with my co-founder
Awesome.
one night. And so I was like, I'm gonna spend whatever I have to purchase .zen, and did that. And then a month later, .c and .1 came up,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right. So there was .com, and then there was .co, and I want to own .c. And I was like, it's
Exactly.
one letter, and it's this whole fucking thing. And I was like, I will. So I took so much Bitcoin and converted it into HNS ahead of those two auctions. I was like, nobody will outbid me on .c. I will put it all down for .c.
Put all
And
black.
I
Yeah.
still maintain, yeah, I still believe that my ownership of .c is the most valuable crypto asset I own. Like, I think it's probably worth more than everything else all the other crypto assets I have combined in terms of its upside potential.
Sure.
.zen and .1, it remains to be seen. I think if I spent a lot of time on brand building, that would happen. But I really believe .c, like, sometimes I just sit back and I'm like, that could be worth $1 billion.
Yeah,
I really think it could be worth a ton.
for sure.
Yeah, so that was really my entrance into the space. And then I was talking to Tish, and I also interviewed him for my podcast. And then, like, back channel, he was like, we're going to open up the ability for people to sell these, and it's going to be on 101 domains, and it's going to be on
And circa.
Encirca.
Yeah.
And then he told me that the Park.io folks were involved. And I've sold at least 10 domains through Park.io, like, maybe buying them for a couple hundred and selling them for, like, I just sold one for 10K. So I really like the whole flipping game on Park.io, buying expired IO domains. Basically, I just go in there and I see the domains that are expiring, and I sort them by registration date. So I find the earliest registered ones, because I'm like, they have a higher probability of being fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I just like pick up the ones I want, and I've sold a bunch there. And like well, and I'll spare some of the identities of people involved, but
Sure.
I bought and sold a bunch there, and I found out that they were involved in creating Gateway.io. And I was like, this is it. Tish, like, whatever I have to pay you, like, whatever. And he didn't charge me anything. But it was a very simple process. I was like, anything I have to do to be involved in this first batch, because I do think there's a branding opportunity around these top level domains. When you own a top level domain and you're selling them, it's not like other businesses where you need to worry about engineering innovation, where you need to do customer support, where you have to do a whole bunch of things. The support's handled by, gateway.io or Encirca or 101 domains. The tech is handled by, it's open source. So I probably change much about it right now, especially not as an engineer, as a non-engineer. So it's like the only thing I have to focus on is brand building. So just hypothetically, what would happen if someone actually treated this like a business? Like if we weren't just a bunch of like NFT traders, but what if someone actually tried to build a brand, put some actual advertising dollars behind this and launch it? So I was like, all right, I'm going to devote a half an hour a week to this, because my first commitment is nomics.com above everything else. It's not fair to the other team members, the investors, or anyone else. And I'm, there's a whole that, that's my first love and passion. I was like, what if I spent just a small amount of time marketing these .c domains? So I started tweeting about it like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And lo and behold, like started making between 10 and 15 .c domain sales per day, which comes out to roughly it's like a run rate of around 85 to 90K a year. So 90,000 a year, tweeting 3 times a week, no customer support, no tech development, and I took out some ads on Nomics, and like that's it. Like that's it. And it's and so like I'm just accumulating a bunch of HNS now.
It's
so
awesome, yeah.
I think that it's still very early, but the upside potential around these top level domains is just incredible. It's like it's the ultimate NFT. It's like, what if your NFT had babies and you could sell? Well, I don't want to think about selling people, but like produced assets that you could sell. So it's very exciting times.
For sure. For sure. So yeah, they're gonna start. They just announced like last week, they're gonna open up gateway.io to any owner, anybody in Namebase.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They can't guarantee 101 or Encirca, but they're gonna let anybody that wants to put it there. They're not gonna, of course, guarantee sales, but they're gonna let anybody list any TLD now. So it's not yet totally implemented, but probably this week they'll start to do that. And it's gonna I think it's gonna totally change the game. I'm preparing some now, and everybody's gonna start preparing them. And no marketing kit required, but I think they suggest to have one. Yeah. So,
yeah.
So
nice.
So I'm not in the program yet, and a lot of people aren't yet. So I don't know if you want to give us some pointers, or actually from your screenshots you've shown on Twitter, you're getting like it gets deposited right into your Namebase account, like you said, in HNS, like real time, like the same.
Yep. Yeah. I can walk you through it. I can walk you through it. So I'll just go over high level, like my experience with the program.
That'd be awesome.
So we launched .c on August 7th of 2021.
2020.
I'm sorry, of 2020. Yeah, it wouldn't be
No
2021.
problem.
That would be impossible. So August 7th of 2020. And it was really easy. There was a simple contract review that Namebase gave to me. And I just needed to sign that. It's probably going to be electronic when folks go through it. And I just remember it being a very reasonable short contract. So I needed to do that, and I needed to create some marketing materials, which I again, Nomics is where I'm focused, but what I created was Spock. Let's see. I just created this entity called Spock Domains. Okay. So here it is, different domains for different lanes.
Oh, nice.
.c domains, .1 domains, and .zen domains. So these are the marketing kits which 101 domains and Encirca require. And again, I outsourced this. Had a simple logo made with some graphics, but I fulfilled all the requirements here. It's got some, it's kind of catchy. Like tomorrow's leading brands already .see it,
Yeah,
for
man, this is really cool. I haven't seen this before.
um for .1, we were kind of thinking, hey, maybe this is for maybe this works with influencers. So, be the .1 with influence, and then Zen Domains was for, like maybe massage studios, lifestyle brands,
For
yoga
sure.
brands, things like that. So there's a logo and some marketing materials for all of these. And then there's this entity called Spock Domains, which is owned by Highway 86 LLC, which is just my LLC. So from the beginning, I wanted it like owned by a corporation in case stuff went south. I wanted
Liability, yeah.
some liability protection and stuff, which I think is important. I with these being decentralized, I don't know what people are going to post on some of these domains. So I signed the contract and I made marketing materials, and then I told folks about it on Twitter. And here's an example of like the kind of tweets that I would do, because they were really basic. And I just kind of showed people the kinds of domains that were being purchased. So id.c, help.c, 3m.c, ai.c. So I was just showing like, hey, these are still available. And I decided to not charge more for premium domain. So if someone wanted to buy btc.c, which is someone's already bought it, but if they did, it would cost the same amount as some really long domain .c. So I just started tweeting about it. And that's how we launched. It was sign the contract, create the marketing kit, and then just talk about it a little bit. And then I started, doing a little bit more, and I'm probably going to be publishing one of these or outsourcing the publication of one of these every month. Again, I'm keeping my time to half an hour a week.
I understand.
But I created an income report. So domain sold yesterday, 35, see proof, income, $250, time spent per week, 30 minutes with an annual run rate of 90K. And I just watch, like, someone's just been gobbling up these 2-letter domains recently, and it's, cloud.c, and it's just kind of continued. So yesterday someone bought home.c, ki.c, on the
Amazing,
20th, a
yeah.
bunch of these 2-letter domains were being sold. So I'm making real money, and I've got a decent, I
Amazing.
shouldn't be showing this shit, but I've got a decent, I'm accumulating some H&S here, and I'm not selling it. I'm all in on the space. So I'm not cashing this in for anything else. And so that's I guess maybe that's what I can share so far. I've
Sure,
shared a
no,
little
this
bit
has
about
been really
what I'm
helpful.
making. Let me see. I can share the I'll dig up a little bit the ads for this. But people have already started to use it. People have started to redirect some of these domain names and stuff.
Okay.
And what this is some, a really cool outcome of this so far is Park.io published, or went through the data, and basically stated that according to the data that they're looking at, which is in TLD Stats, .c would be one of the top 500 TLDs ranked. So if you look at TLD Stats, they've got XYZ, ICU, .online, .top, there's all these kind of, .1, .link, etc.
Yep.
And there's a bunch of these. So .c, based on what they were looking at, a few weeks ago, would be in the top 500, and I think now we'd be in the top 250. So
Amazing.
it's really going at a nice clip. And
Yeah.
again, I think that everyone's going crazy over Beeple NFTs, and just wait till some VC comes in and they say, all right, I'm just going to buy. I want to do a roll up of the top 10, TLDs on Handshake.
Agreed.
I think they're going to be worth so much.
I'm totally bullish as well, man. Like, I mean, it makes sense. Com, co, C, right? It's a is definitely a great investment, and I'm really happy that you're the owner of it, and you're doing great things, and sharing your experiences today and on Twitter. And yeah, it was Mike Carson at Parkio. He mentioned it also during the HandyCon that yeah, that .c should was at 500, should be at 500 if it was in the, once it's considered in the same as I don't know. I
Yep.
don't know the terminology, but like it should be in the top 500, which is great, man. It's awesome. So yeah, I guess people are using it, like you said, are redirecting it. I mean, once this there's HDNS.io, I think you heard about, that just came out by Namebase, which is a resolver,
Yep.
which is pretty awesome. And that's just barely coming out. And then I think all these
Yep.
people
I
on
switched to
Twitter,
it.
yeah, once everybody else gets to be able to sell their SLDs on their TLD, I think they're going to be like pushing it on all their channels. It's going to be an amazing, uh,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah. All
Yeah.
those, all these
Seriously. I
memes,
mean,
these guys
this
making memes and
really,
stuff are going to be going crazy.
holy shit. Yeah. I mean, I thought about this for a second. I was like, is it good, or is it, like selfishly, do I want a whole bunch of other people selling
Yeah,
TLDs? And the answer to that question is an emphatic hell yes, because they're all going to be, pushing for, sort of resolvers for widespread adoption. Like they're all incentivized to grow the space. And then not only are they going to be incentivized, but everyone who owns a premium domain on those top level domains is also going to be incentivized to grow this space. So if you own btc.c, or if you own, home.c or eth.c, and you really believe in the value of owning that, or what it could end up being worth if the space grew, then you're also incentivized to grow the space. So I think there's just going to be an army of people behind this. And I think that's really been the problem, is the incentivization structure for adoption of .eth or .zil or .crypto, what ENS is doing, what Unstoppable Domains is doing. I think there just haven't been enough people who are incentivized to make that work, because, all the value accrues, or the majority of the value accrues to, to those companies. Whereas with Handshake, you've got all the second level domain owners are incentivized. You've got all the TLD owners are incentivized. And then you've got all the HNS owners also incentivized, even if they don't own anything and they're just speculating on the space, right? They want to see the everything work. And then there's everyone building apps on top of it. So I think this is probably the first time that we've had like an adequate army of people assembled that can push this thing through. And if people are, if this is already at, for .c, a 90K run rate, like just imagine when top browsers or other entities start doing this, when it's not just in Circa and 101 domains, but when it's GoDaddy, right? Like when GoDaddy starts saying, hey, we want to own top level domains and we're going to push these across our entire platform. I mean, just imagine the market. I mean, when companies that are taking out freaking Super Bowl ads start being interested in buying your top level domains, then it's going to be really interesting. And then I think another kind of interesting aspect of this is that domains are the number one way that a lot of website publishers are monetizing, right? So I'm a co-founder of leadpages.com, which is a landing page and website building tool that's primarily focused on it's been sold, so I'm not involved anymore. But it started out being highly focused on conversion rate optimization, split testing, things like that. But if you look at Weebly, Squarespace, and Wix, the number one way that these platforms are monetizing is like when you sign up, often you get a free account, but you have to pay for your domain. Sometimes you get your domain for free, but then you build a business there and then you have to pay for domain renewal. So one of the main ways, in fact, I know for sure one of those, the number one way that they're monetizing is through, sort of renewal of these second level domains. So imagine the revenue they could create if they owned, like, I don't know, dot site or dot web. I think dot site is already taken, but like dot website or dot Weebly or dot store, or I don't know if stores dot taken. I don't know if any, but if they came upon something that really worked for them and they decided that they were going to, not just own a piece of this whole thing, but actually own the whole TLD, they would be so invested, with their Super Bowl ads and their gajillion-dollar marketing budgets. I just think this space is so primed for success, and I'm incredibly bullish.
And the other thing is .coms are going up again in September, I think, if I'm right. Definitely later this year, the .com, the ICANN or the VeriSign wants to make another dollar per date or whatever it is. It's going up, I don't know, another dollar or something. It's
like postage stamps. They just keep on going up.
Yeah, it never stops, man. I don't know what they got to do, but it's a lot of work, so they need more money. Yeah. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I think that'll be another motivator. But this has been fascinating, Clay. I'm really happy that you got me even more excited now, and I feel I like it's what's driven me the most is the community, right? Everybody, it's all these crazy people from all around the world that are just hoping this thing resolves, hoping this thing gets more and more adoption. And there's developers and domain investors and crypto enthusiasts, or everybody's just kind of coming together in this space. So it's really exciting. And then plus the whole D-Web or Web3, I think that's the next frontier in crypto, it seems, right? I mean, that's what everybody's talking about. There's a lot of different stuff coming out.
Absolutely. I think the options are endless, or the possibilities are endless. And just to speak to the quality of people that are involved in the space, like the people involved that I've seen in the community are top-notch people, right? Like you've got the top domain broker in the world, incredibly invested in HNS. You've got Park.io, which is one of the top resellers in the space involved. Like the domain industry is heavily invested in HNS, or at least they're in heavy accumulation, before they come out in a big way for it. But there are hardcore, there's investment involvement from hardcore players in the space. And then on the tech side, the people involved are top notch. Many of the folks from the Lightning Network and other just well-regarded folks in the space. And then to see what's happening with Badass Domains, where they forked Ethereum, and they're creating these decentralized second level domains. And imagine if you had a token on top of that. Like I was just thinking the other day, what if everyone who bought a .c domain had some kind of ownership? We created a DAO, made .c owned entirely by the DAO. And then everyone who owned a .c domain got tokens that represented ownership in the DAO, and they could vote on decisions that were made on behalf of the .c. And we just handed the whole thing back to the community. That could be a particularly interesting way to go, and I think that might become the model. In fact, I feel fairly certain that things are going in that direction. And if they do, that's exactly what we'd want to do with .c. But it's going to take time to see all this play out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of exciting things, and I feel bad. I think we broke your 30 minutes this week.
This is fun. I'll count. I'll take it from next week.
Yeah. Well, Nomics is great. I mean, I'm using it to, track HNS and other crypto, and it's a great product you put together, and I'm sure others in the community appreciate what you've contributed. So let's get some load up on .c, check out Nomics. Thanks again, Clay, for sharing with us at the HandyCon first ever Handshake conference. It's great to have you with us.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm excited about what you're doing, and thanks for putting all this together. Couldn't be more grateful.
Awesome. Awesome.